Alrighty, so we are gonna do alcohol today. I hope you all brought your drink. For those of you who are over 21, of course. I have mine. What could it be? Could it be vodka? Could it be gin? Could it be clear tequila? White tequila? No, it's just water. Just water. Nothing fancy. Also, what's in here? Just coffee. Alright, so alcohol behaviors is today. And, so, we're gonna start out with... So, what my original plan was on before all of this stuff went down was I was planning to... have a couple of volunteers come up and wear some drunk goggles, right? And so it would affect your vision, right? Obviously, you wouldn't have the other cognitive issues like depressed reaction time, or maybe the world wouldn't. Of course, the world wouldn't be spinning. Other things like that. So, yeah, we don't get to do that, unfortunately. I was gonna have you do like a cognition task that required, some hand-eye coordination, or at least finger-eye coordination, finger presses. I was gonna do like a Stroop task, a visual search task, and so unfortunately we don't have that ability these days. So I do have maybe something like it, but let's first start with binge drinking, because I am going to focus on college students quite a bit as far as drinking behaviors go. This isn't an effort to shame anyone, because of course I don't want to shame you for your behavior drinking alcohol that I do, but specifically binge drinking is a disorder that does typically affect younger people more than older people. So again, this isn't to shame anyone, this is to educate. Okay, so let's first start with, I'm gonna pause the music, we don't need that while we watch about binge drinking.
I've been short of logic, so I'm passed out on a party. This counter's bony floor. I've been here before 12 times. I'm Simon, I've got one thing of...
You wouldn't start a night out like that, so why end it like that, right? So that was the idea about binge drinking. Rips out his earring. Ugh! I don't even have an earring. Woo! Alright. Nope, we're not going to watch it again. Alright, so I have an activity for you guys to start. Okay. So, for each of these, please put a check mark, or, no, sorry, for each of them, put a T or an F, because it's fact or falsehood, T or F, okay, fact or falsehood for each of these. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 of them, okay, so you can start off with 1 over here, and then 10 over here. Oop, sorry. 1 over here and 10 over here. Cursor was in the wrong place. This is a copy of a copy, so, from a different textbook, so that's why it looks pretty grainy. I hope everyone can read it. Okay. Are we done? Trues, falses? Are we all done? Let me know. Because I'm going to reveal the answers. Revelation! The Book of Alcohol Revelation. Alright. So which statements were true? Did anybody say any of them were true? So when you do, if you do answer if any of them were true, identify which one. I'm curious. Again, no shame, right? No shame. Some of these things may not have been taught to you. Number 6, Logan. Number 6, I guess, is the people are more likely to get drunk if they switch drinks. Wine to beer. Yeah, nope. Alcohol's alcohol. Alcohol is just alcohol. It's all the same. Just how much content is in there. David, you said number 9 was true. People can cure a hangover by any several methods. Nope, unfortunately, time. Time is the only method. Water/hydration can help you counteract hangovers. The effects of hangovers doesn't mean the hangover's not there, but it's pretty much just time. Yeah. Okay. Nine, yeah. Time and hydrate. All hangovers are dehydration. So, water and time. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, you're not wrong about that, Logan. You're not wrong about the different alcohol content, right? The ABV values. So, or, excuse me, the ABV, right? Alcohol content, right, in the drink. But it doesn't change that alcohol is just alcohol. The ethanol that you are drinking is the same no matter what drink you're getting it in. You get drunk faster by drinking higher alcohol content beverages, but that doesn't, I mean, you can go back and forth if you want to. Lots of people go to bars and, you know, are sipping on beers, nursing beers, and then somebody will be like, oh, let's do a shot, and then, you know, you get a shot, you do the shot, and then you're back to the beer, right? It's just the amount of content, yeah. Yeah, so Pedialyte helps, although it's god-awful tasting. Just, or Gatorade, you know, things that get your electrolytes going, David, for sure. Get you rehydrated, you know. But Pedialyte's definitely better than Gatorade in the sense that, like, that good electrolytes as opposed to, you know, just high fructose corn syrup or so. Yeah. David, jeez. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'm sure there's lots of things you regret in your life. Alright. This is a bit a heavier one, okay? New activity, so, you know, separated on your Word doc or your thing. For each of these, what I want you to do is say whether or not a yes or a no, okay? If you don't drink, obviously the answer is no. You don't abuse alcohol because you don't drink alcohol. So if you don't drink alcohol, then you don't need to participate in this questionnaire. So this questionnaire is only for those that drink alcohol. And so the question is, well, you drink alcohol, but then do you misuse it? Do you abuse it? Right? So I won't be asking for answers about this in chat. This is just for you, okay? This is just for you. It would be a bit, I think it would be a bit, I mean, again, not trying to be shamey, but I think saying in chat, hey, Do you abuse alcohol? Hey, you should go get help. I'm not a licensed clinical psychologist. I only play one on TV. Oh, Twitch TV. Huh, yeah. Especially the last one. That's a legal question, right? Stop for drunk driving. Definitely can't ask whether or not somebody's been stopped for drunk driving. Publicly, of course. That's why you're keeping it to yourself. All right, so are we done with this one? Can I move on? All right, so this is how this one goes. So if you answered yes to the first question, consider you have, consider a change to your drinking pattern, okay? 14 drinks a week is a lot, okay? And so these are the legal definitions of what a drink is, based on alcohol content. So we're talking about 1 1/4 ounces of hard liquor, okay, 12 ounces of beer, or 6 ounces, a glass of wine. I think that's 4 or 6 ounces. It's not full. It's not a full 8. That's for sure. I think it's 6. So consider changing your drinking pattern. If you answered yes to anything else, please talk to someone. Okay. Pun intended. This is sobering advice. Okay. All right. So let's talk about alcohol use and abuse, since that is the name of the game for today. So as we mentioned last week on Friday, I said that alcohol is a depressant. It's probably the most common depressant that you'll come across. It's also legal, right? And so, of course, you'll come across it in all countries, pretty much all countries on this planet. You'll come across it. You can basically make anything alcoholic that yeast can ferment. So anything that yeast can ferment, which generally speaking is of organic quality, you can make alcohol out of it. And so we've made plenty of alcohols as human beings. Okay? But what ethanol does is it depresses most of the functioning of the central nervous system. So that is coordination, that is vision, that is impulse control, emotional regulation, sensory regulation, motor control, so balance as well, okay? And how this is measured, how alcohol use is measured, right? So drinking alcohol, how it's measured is by blood alcohol level or blood alcohol content. So I put both of them there. I think your book uses BAL. It's been a while since I checked that, but what you mostly see across various agencies, publications, media sources, blood alcohol content. So they're fairly synonymous, so I feel like it's fine to interchange them at this level. Like, we're not actually going to be assessing blood alcohol content, so at this level it's fine. It's the amount of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood. Okay, so 100 milliliters, 100 mLs. How many grams of that is ethanol? Okay, and so most states set 0.08 grams per 100 milliliters of blood as legal intoxication. So that's where you get the 0.08 or 8%. It's per 100 milliliters. Okay, that's your G%. Okay, so 0.08 blood alcohol level or blood alcohol content is the legal intoxication level in most states. Okay, so if you're at that level or higher, then you are legally intoxicated and you shouldn't be operating a motor vehicle, a motorcycle, heavy machinery, be performing surgery, and pretty much everything else that requires steady concentration and a steady hand, or a steady foot, or a steady brain. Okay? And there are individual differences in for how much alcohol is ingested based on body type, body structure, body content, genes, everything that makes you an individual is going to change the way that you are affected by the amount of alcohol that you drink, keeping the amount equal from person to person to person. Okay? They're all going to feel the effects differently. Okay? Tolerance also plays a role, so looking back to Friday when we were talking about tolerance, it takes more and more and more to achieve effects, and so tolerance works much the same way that on alcohol than it does with other drugs. And you've probably heard the term functioning alcoholics. Alcoholic and alcoholism are fairly pejorative terms these days, at least in clinical circles. You'll see it in common lay conversation, but you may have heard the term functioning alcoholic, and that is because tolerance levels are so high that these alcohol abusers or substance use disorder patients need so much alcohol to achieve the same effects as a new alcohol user, okay, because of the high tolerance levels. And that's because of and then that's where the functioning part comes in, because they can drink 4 beers and still feel fine. Okay, doesn't mean their blood alcohol level or content is below or above the legal limit, by the way. So that's important to note. They could be drunk and just not feel like they're drunk. Okay. So I want to play a little bit of a guessing game. If I didn't clear these numbers from the slides, so no peeking. If you are looking at the slides right now, no peeking. Forgot to clear unless I didn't include this slide. I don't remember what I did. So let's play a little bit of a guessing game. Okay, I'm gonna see where you think you are, where you think BAL or BAC. The slide is blank. Yeah, the slide is blank, but in the notes section might be the answers, because I forgot to clear the notes section, because I have the answers to the blanks. So, all right. So let's tackle number 1. So just guess in chat. You don't need to guess on your thing. Just guess in chat, because we're gonna do this live. We're gonna do this. Quick. So at blood alcohol levels ranging from about what to what? G%. So you would just say this in, the 0.0 insert number here. A drinker is relaxed and mildly euphoric. Calm. Okay. So in chat, quick. What levels? What numbers do you think is this? No cheating. Okay, 0.04, 0.02. Range. Give me ranges. So 2 numbers. Give me ranges. Give me rangers. Rangers. $104. Streamlabs does not like these numbers. 0.03. Chat is confused. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well. Add some words to your ranges so you can actually get them here. So like David wrote between. Add some words. That way it won't flag you for writing too many symbols. Okay, 0.03 to 0.05. It deleted your comment because you only had numbers in it. 08 to 1, 5 to 6, 1 to 3, 04 and 08. Alright. Alright. 04 and 08. It's quite deep, Katie. Deep. 01 to 03. Yeah, so that's 01 to 05. Interestingly, 0.05 is, I believe, a legal limit somewhere out west. Maybe Utah? I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. 0.04, 0.01 to 0.05. There we go. All right. So second one. Increase to one number to memory and concentration are dulled, and reaction time and motor functioning are impaired significantly. So what percent BAL, BAC? Okay. 0.08, Logan. Okay. 0.07. 0.08. Okay. 0.05. No range on this one, Deanne. Just a single number on this one. This one's actually quite interesting. I see 0.08, 0.07, 0.08, 0.07. It's 0.1. Yes, Peyton, it's 0.1. No looking at the notes, though. No looking at the notes in my slide. 0.1. So that's 0.1. Excuse me. So next one. At what BAL, BAC, walking and fine motor skills become extremely difficult. It's okay. Fair enough, Peyton. Fair enough. That's a good guess. Good guess. Okay. Walking and fine motor skills become extremely difficult. How drunk do you have to be? Katie likes 0.15. I'm not entirely sure, Aaliyah, if that's 0.05 or 0.5. 0.13, maybe 0.15 or 0.2. That one can be a range anywhere from 0.1 to 0.15. Okay? That's when fine motor skills become extremely difficult. So we're getting to about double the legal limit. Double the legal limit. Walking and fine motor skills are extremely difficult. And so that's extremely difficult. That doesn't mean that at 0.08, some people just can't walk at all. Okay, so these are various broad effects that affect quite a few people. Now, second to last one. At what level does vision become blurry? Speech is slurred. Walking without staggering is virtually impossible. And drinker may lose consciousness. So this is blackout, passing out, okay? This is no memory. So this is blackout drunk. Blackout. 1.8, 2.3, too high. Too high, Peyton. Just keep it under 1. 0.14, 0.2, point... Oh, no worries. That's definitely death above 1. Definitely death. Okay. So it's about 0.2. 0.2 is considered alcohol poisoning. At 0.20, this is considered alcohol poisoning. Okay. So that is too much. So this is 20. This is 0.2 grams per 100 milliliters of blood. Okay? Essentially, the alcohol is preventing other blood functions from occurring. So this is poison. Okay? This is literal poison. Wow. My color just went away. Woo! This is Dr. Swan the Ghost. Now the last one. Death. At what BAC does death occur? One. Well, definitely. Let's go a little bit lower than that. Because that's 1 gram per 100 milliliters. 0.25 and up, or probably you died alcohol addiction. 0.5, greater than 0.25. 0.4. Yeah. Damn, you guys have the right idea. 0.35 is generally speaking that when death actually, like, if you get to the point where you're at 0.35, you are dead. That instant. Like, it's not a slow decline to death. It's like that is death. Okay. If you're above 0.25, then death might be slow. Okay. In 0.35, if you can do your times tables, your multiplication tables, 0.35 is more than 4 times the legal limit, right? More than 4 times the legal limit. Holy crap. All right. So alcoholism, okay, might be also called alcohol addiction, alcohol abuse, okay, or alcohol use disorder. So alcoholism is characterized by a physical addiction to alcohol, so with withdrawal symptoms that make you feel like death. So those withdrawal symptoms after you stop using it. A high tolerance, so that functioning part, and then a little ability or control, a little ability to control or desire to stop drinking. Okay. Problem drinking, however, occurs before that. Okay. Occurs before that. So problem drinking are behaviors that may lead to alcohol use disorder. Okay. So you may not have physical addiction symptoms like if you stop not having withdrawal is a big part of this, right? But there are social problems that come with it, right? Maybe you get a bit too drunk and you get belligerent and get into a fight. Or you say things that your friends don't like, your family doesn't like, right? Because you get a bit of you're a blabbermouth drunk, okay? Psychological, okay? This is can be an issue if you are struggling with anxiety or depression, okay? And then medical problems, okay? So there are obviously issues like cirrhosis, okay? So fatty liver issue, alcohol poisoning, getting injured or maimed in like a car accident because you drove drunk, right? So those are medical problems associated with that, right? So Katie, yeah, but I don't know if that's necessarily a social problem. Unless people don't love you back, which I guess rough. And then Logan, PSA for binge drinking. Yeah, there's a ton of them. Playing with their nephew, how they usually do, but end up hurting them because they're drunk. Yeah, that's rough. Especially, is it a young little boy? So in 2015, here is a peek at. Yeah, I figured. Here's a peek at profile. Okay, so nearly 60% of college students. So we're talking age group of 18 to 22, because that's generally speaking the traditional college age. Are current drinkers. even though they, in the United States, this is United States data, by the way, even though only about a third of that age group is legally allowed to drink, okay, 21, 22, and so, you know, we're talking about the entire age group, nearly 60% are current drinkers of alcohol in some way, okay, and nearly 40% report binge drinking, okay, so at-risk drinking is considered, and this is a clinical definition, 2 or more episodes of binge drinking in the past month, okay, which binge drinking is considered 2 or more alcoholic drinks per day in the past month, okay, so that's at-risk drinking. It's rough, right? That's a lot of alcohol. But then you can see here on this graph that a lot of other stuff comes into play. Not just college students drink alcohol or drink alcohol in excess, right? So we have, full-time college students and other people of the same age say that they drink a lot. So we're talking 50% of those people, okay? So this is college-age students, 60%. That's this number up here. Others of the same age, half of them report. So non-college students, 18 to 22, report that they are drinking alcohol within the past month, right? Full-time college students, here's the number about binge drinking. Others of the same age is less, okay? And then heavy drinking, okay? Full-time college students and others of the same, they're much closer, of course, right? And so you can consider these subsets of this group here, okay? It's quite a bit 18 to 22-year-olds are drinking, okay? So let's go down this rabbit hole just a little bit more, right? So we've got what alcohol-related problems. This is from 2002. So take this data with a grain of salt. It's almost 20 years old, but these numbers aren't very much different these days. I would hazard a guess that they're not much different. So you're seeing that, you know, of the people who drink, half of them report having a hangover. Okay, again, dehydration. And then over a quarter say they missed class because of it. Almost a third say did something they regret. A quarter say forgot where they were or what they did, the blackout part. Okay. 20% engaged in unplanned sexual activity, right? And then about 10%, got hurt or injured. Okay. And these are related incidences. So 1,700 deaths a year. Again, this one's this is newer data. It's from 2009, right? Let's do that. Oh, there we go. 2009. So it's still pretty rough though, right? 1,700 deaths. Almost 600,000 injuries. Almost 700,000 assaults. Almost 100,000 sexual assault or date rape instances. 100,000 says they were too drunk to know if they had consented to having sex. So this is one of those Title IX trainings that you all get, right? About consent and what consent is. If there's alcohol involved, there is no consent. Zero consent. Alcohol involved by either party. And then 2.1 million college-age students drove under the influence, right? So over the legal limit or higher. Okay, not all 2.1 million got a DUI. This is self-report. But they can say, yeah, I did. I got lucky. I got super lucky. Did I do it again? Maybe I did it again. Okay. Also, I'm not talking about me. So physical effects include, I'm just going to quickly go over this one because we are running out of time. So essentially what alcohol does is pause intracellular communication. And so when you have intracellular communication paused, you really can't function. I mean, that's what happens. And so here, take a 43-year-old. That's a normal looking brain. Look at the pocketing and cavitation in an alcoholic 43-year-old. Okay? So major shrinkage of the hippocampus, memory issues, okay? Interference with thiamine absorption in the mammillary bodies, amnesia, anterograde amnesia, okay? And then just cortex, just pocketing of the cortex. The black space is too much. There's too much black space here. That's what it should look like. Not like that. Course, and like I said, Korsakoff syndrome is pretty much only exclusively found in high alcohol use patients, and it specifically affects the mammillary bodies that are part of the basal ganglia. They're connected in inner structures in your brain around the thalamus, okay? And they have similar behavioral deficits like HM, if you're familiar with HM, anterograde amnesia, inability to store new memories. So chronic use leads to a weakened immune system. Cellular DNA is damaged. Of course, that can also lead to fetal alcohol syndrome, okay? So if you are a heavy drinker and pregnant, that damage to DNA that is new is going to harm the child, okay? Interferes with endocrine system functioning. That goes hand in hand with immune system functioning. Essentially, your cardiovascular system becomes very inefficient because the immune system and the endocrine system rely on your cardiovascular system to function properly. And because your liver is struggling to filter out all the alcohol and digest and metabolize that alcohol, that's its main job. That's where all of the blood's going. That leads to the fatty liver, the cirrhosis, and other issues. And if you start drinking too young, which is so wild to me that Wisconsin still has the hey, if you with your parents in a bar, you can have a drink if you're 11. Like, no, stop it, Wisconsin, stop it. It's a stupid law. Get rid of it. Personal freedom, my ass. Human growth. If you want to be a short person for the rest of your life, start drinking at 11. Men, decreased testosterone, increased impotence, that is, erectile dysfunction, as well as bad swimmers. So sperm become low motility, okay? And which then, of course, will lower your fertility. Women, decreased estrogen levels, which is not good, okay? Can start mimicking menopause. So you don't want that. It's because menopause and perimenopause is a decrease in estrogen as women as women get older, and so if you want that early, by all means keep drinking heavily. Menstrual disturbances, this will pause, as menopause is want to do. This will pause periods, so if you drink heavily, the ovaries will fail to release eggs, okay? It can also lead to increased risk of miscarriages. Miscarriages are a fact of life. They are sad, but if heavy drinking can increase the risk of having a miscarriage at any given point. Okay. Fat on the heart, fat in the coronary arteries. Okay. Hepatitis and cirrhosis of the liver. Okay, and then fetal alcohol syndrome, like I said. And so this is an illustration of a child with fetal alcohol syndrome. There is a significant developmental marker just by quick visual observation, right? There are these markers here. it used to be misclassified as Down syndrome, but eventually it was clear that Down syndrome produced phenotypic differences that fetal alcohol syndrome did not, even though they have maybe the same facial features. Okay. Psychosocial. So, alright. Some people drink to de-stress. Again, no shame here. I do it too. The problem becomes if it starts impacting your physical and social life, right? If it becomes an impediment to normal functioning. Sure, alcohol buffers stress. It makes you feel better. It reduces those negative emotions, and it lowers your anxiety, right? Some of you may have heard of liquid courage, of course, right? It reduces your anxiety, which of course also includes social anxiety. Okay. However, if you lack some of the other buffering things, like social support, this is going to lead to falling into, so to speak, the bottom of a bottle. Okay? Because you don't have any other buffers. The only buffer you have is that alcohol bottle. Okay? And so that's the problem drinking aspect. Behavioral disinhibition, like I mentioned before, it lowers all inhibitions. Alcohol lowers all inhibitions, and so you might get belligerent. You may have heard of these different kinds of drunk, right? Some people are happy drunks, some people are belligerent drunks, some people are angry drunks, some people are loving drunks. The flavor of people, of course, there are obviously various problems with classifying people as ex-drunk, right? You are that kind of person when you are a drunk, because situations are very powerful and they change the nature of how we react and express the effects of alcohol. And so that behavioral disinhibition can be a problem, okay? If you get aggressive when you're drinking, then that's going to have some major impacts for outcomes, right? You could get arrested. You could get badly beaten up, right? End up in the hospital if you become an aggressive person while drinking, okay? You could also, if you engage in the sexual behavior and there's no consent and there are issues with remembering and things like that, then this could have severe consequences, right? Not even just Title IX stuff, but like legal stuff, okay? So if you're going to drink alcohol, hey, just make things platonic, okay? Because there's a lot. It's legal. Yes, it's legal. That doesn't mean that it is free from consequences, right? Alcohol myopia increases our concentration on immediate events. So we kind of think about our life in the moment, okay? So this is actually an interesting set of studies, a research body, where you get people drunk and you ask them about, their life in 5 years or their life in 10 years, or what do you think life will be like in 5 or 10 years? And they just can't do it. Very minimal details associated with this. They'll be like, I don't know. Maybe I'm successful, or maybe I have kids or something like that. Very few details for later life events. Okay, lower violence threshold, of course. So where has drinking come from? Let me tell you, long time ago. But we're gonna fast forward here. So why do adolescents begin drinking? Well, it's because, as I mentioned last week with addiction, it's because they are vulnerable, right? Peer pressure, lots of things are changing in their lives, they're open to new experiences, and they lack inhibition. Media glamorizes it, so on and so forth, okay? However, late middle age individuals do also have a window of vulnerability because stress is high and it becomes a coping mechanism. Again, stress is buffered by alcohol, okay? Reduces the physiological effects of stress, because that's what it's doing to your central nervous system. And so it becomes a coping mechanism for late middle age. So those are the two windows of vulnerability for social origins of drinking. Obviously college. It's a place to go hang out with people. It's a place to just be wild and crazy guys, right? The statistic for women is coming to match men. Men have historically been the larger portion of the 40% heavy drinkers in college. People are, or women are increasing their share of that statistic to where it's neck and neck. It's neck and neck. Okay, 45%. So nearly half of the 40% engage in binge drinking. And then there are statistics that support higher drinking for fraternities and sororities. Okay. Get a group of men or women or both in a big room with a big party. It's going to happen. Yeah, so there are stereotypes associated with that, okay? But there are statistics that support it. Again, not trying to shame any of you who are in sororities or fraternities. I don't have time to show you the non-alcoholic keg party, but you can look for it on YouTube. These guys at, I think, Princeton bought a keg of O'Doul's, and they invited freshmen. This is the fall. They invited freshmen, so new freshmen, to come and drink beer. O'Doul's tastes like garbage, but it still tastes like beer. It's just non-alcoholic beer, if you're familiar with O'Doul's. So they bought O'Doul's, they gave this, and then they just filmed people who were acting drunk. There was a freshman passed out on the lawn. And it's kind of funny, too, because they got permission to do this because it was non-alcoholic. They just, the seniors or juniors or seniors just, played this prank on these kids, unfortunately. So if you have to go for it. I'm going to finish this recording so you can come back to the rest of these slides later, because I do not have time to talk about alcohol tomorrow on Wednesday, because we have to talk about cannabis. I've been putting that off. I feel bad, too, because we should have been talking about cannabis last week. Anyways, genes play a role in whether somebody ends up with alcohol use disorder. Okay? Your relatives are part of it. Okay? If your mother or father have alcohol use disorder, this is the single greatest predictor. It's not super heritable, but it is heritable. Okay? Identical twin studies show that there is quite a bit of evidence to suggest that it is inherited, because it is double the concordance rate of identical twins compared to fraternal twins compared to non-twin siblings. Okay, so if it's double the concordance rate from identical to fraternal, then you have super strong evidence that this has a genetic component to it. Okay, and there are several personality traits that might correlate to alcohol use disorder. Okay. So one of those things might be temperament. Okay, so your temperament and personality coalesce. So behavioral under control. So if you are aggressive, unconventional, and impulsive. Okay, negative emotionality. So if you are prone to bouts of depression or anxiety. Okay, and if you have a belief. Oh my God. Hold on. Oh, Jesus. Who wrote that? Makes me sad. So sad. Okay. Effects of individuals' beliefs about alcohol and how it will affect their behavior. alcohol use disorder. So this is DSM-5 stuff, as I mentioned. Person who meets 2 or more of 11 problem drinking criteria. So on this slide here, it's very small. Don't worry if you can't read it. You can look at the slides later. So there are 11 bullet points, and if you have 2 of them in the past year, and you can do this on yourself, you can do this on a loved one. This is the DSM-5 criteria for alcohol use disorder, AUD. Okay, so if you or a loved one, a friend or family member, have 2 or more of these in the past year, can answer yes to 2 or more of these in the past year, then it is high potential for a diagnosis of alcohol use disorder. Okay. So how you treat this, of course, detox agents like Ipecac make you throw up if you do some aversive conditioning, that sort of thing. Other drugs like Antabuse are opiate antagonists. Okay. Ipecac, that's the emetic drug right here. So this emetic drug. So anything that's an emetic will make you vomit. So antiemetics will make you not vomit. Okay. So like I said, Antabuse is an opiate antagonist. Okay. Then of course there are relapse prevention and self-help groups that will help you control your drinking. Alcoholics Anonymous is one such group that is fairly prominent. Okay. Drink refusal training. So this is training on how to say no to peer pressure or social pressure to drink. Just say no, you know. But because for a lot of people, it's hard to say no. It's hard to say no, right? And then, of course, coping and social skills training will help with stress. Okay. There is a really good episode, or main story, I'll say, from a couple of years ago, from Last Week Tonight, on rehab facilities. So specifically about rehab facilities. And how many of them are unregulated, and whether you're getting the treatment that you need is up in the air, right? So these are basically money-making schemes for a lot of people, and they're all out in Malibu, California, right? Go be by the beach, pay a lot of money, get insurance to pay for you, and it's all a scheme, right? Welcome, Tasty Dew. Strong urge to drink means something along the lines of, oh man, rough day at work, I need a drink. Yeah. Yeah, strong urge to drink. As a way of coping, okay? Or if you're at a party and you immediately go, oh, what's there to drink? And then, you know, your host will give you a litany of drinks, and you'll go straight for the liquor, right? Or saying, or bringing wine or beer to a party, right? That's also classified as strong urge to drink. So if you or you know somebody who's ever gone to a rehab facility, pay close attention. Pay close attention to what it is the organization is and what they do, because it's an unregulated, and quite frankly, it's super odd to me that it is unregulated. And John Oliver shares the same incredulity about whether or not these should be regulated. And the answer is yes, right? But can't show you. It's about 20 minutes long. Free on YouTube. Okay. So prevention. Last couple of slides are about prevention and whether or not alcohol could be using alcohol could be considered a healthy behavior. Okay. Spoiler alert. Mostly not. Okay. Most successful alcohol use or alcohol problem treatments are your attitude surrounding alcohol. Okay? That is primarily what is going to change your behavior. If you change your attitudes around alcohol, one, that may prevent some cognitive dissonance because you know the negative effects, right? So if you change your attitudes to incorporate to make the negative effects more salient and stop changing the negatives to a positive, then you're gonna help reduce the reliance on alcohol and reduce those negative effects, right? Strengthen coping skills comes next. So figuring out ways to manage your stress that do not involve alcohol. Okay. Looking at different ways to focus your energy. Problem-focused coping, emotion-focused coping, therapy, that sort of thing. Okay. Restructure your environments. One of the bigger things about maintaining sobriety and not relapsing is changing behavior patterns. Okay, changing those habits. Not going to various places where you used to use and abuse, right? So if you are using alcohol and you go to a specific bar and you want to stop, then you have to stop going to that bar, which means potentially saying goodbye and not seeing friends there that you've made or bartenders that you've made friends with or whatever. You know, social connections like that. But changing how you operate and reducing those trigger points and reducing those trigger locations. Okay. As far as campaigns to prevent alcohol drinking, the best ones are targeted toward children and adolescents, and specifically adolescents. And one of those things is you can't show alcohol commercials at certain parts of the day or for certain programs, right? Can't show alcohol commercials on Nickelodeon, for example. Okay. The alcohol misuse prevention study, AMPS, was a pioneer in showing that if you just educate children and adolescents about the effects of alcohol, then you can prevent problem drinkers even by the time they get to college. Okay. So, is drinking a healthy behavior? It's mostly not. You'll hear study after study after study going back and forth about wine and, you know, the idea about the ingredients in wine. Red wine being healthy for your heart. You know, Russians who don't drink water because the water is unsafe. They just, you know, throw back vodka after vodka and it's fine. Okay. So... Oh, no, don't worry about it, Olivia. That was just for you. No, you're not sending me anything. You get participation credit just for being in chat. So, moderation, as far as something that's a healthy behavior, moderation is 1 to 2 drinks per day. I actually think this should be less. It should be about a half to 1 drink per day, if at all. Okay, if you want to use alcohol, then, you know, limit your use. 2 drinks a day is 14 drinks a week. Well, that might be a definition, a clinical definition, then, you know, your mileage may vary. Tasty Do, yeah, it's a socially accepted drug. Alcohol, of course, is. And it's been that way for thousands of years. Ever since humans first discovered what happens when you leave rotting fruit to just rot. And what comes from that. Yeah, it's been one of those things. Depending on the alcohol, depending on what it is, wine versus gin versus beer versus anything else, there might be some evidence. this is a heavy asterisk here. Might be some evidence of coronary heart and other cardiovascular disease benefits, but not if you overdo it, okay? May increase your HDLs, which is the good one, okay? Depending on the alcohol again. This evidence is either back and forth, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, right? Don't do it, do it. Don't do it, do it. Don't do it. And so it's considered very fresh, okay? What is an optimum level of moderation that you want to engage in, right? Because it's your freedom to choose whether or not you want to do it, or your freedom to choose you don't want to do it, but you want to let your friends be able to do it, right? Your friends and family are like, go ahead and do it. It's shaky, right? So what works for you only works for you, right? Because of all of these individual differences and the effects of alcohol, what works for you only works for you. So find your level. If it's not negatively impacting or impairing your life, you're probably fine. If it is negatively impacting or impairing your life, then it is not a healthy behavior. It is a clinical behavior. Okay? I go back to the DSM-5, the chart. If you read those more carefully and you fit 2 or more of those criteria, then there's probably some alcohol misuse going on. Okay? If you suspect somebody in your family has that, I definitely recommend it. And approach them in behaviors. Obviously, be kind and gentle if you want to approach somebody, right? But it's clearly not a healthy behavior as far as this slide is concerned. Okay. And an alarming statistic. I know it's about 15 years old. An alarming statistic does show that deaths attributable to alcohol is increasing worldwide. This number is still increasing 15 years later. Not great, right? People are struggling to find a balance, of course. All right, that's it for alcohol. I did go quite a bit over. Thanks to everyone who stuck around. And like I said, this video will be up on YouTube later. And so I'm going to go eat some lunch.